Kelly. I am Rye. I am here to review your case. I work with corrections. I do want to go over our confidentiality policy because it's a little bit different than your experience with your probation officers or the corrections officers here at the facility. With me, feel free to ignore your Miranda rights. Anything you say will not be used against you in a court of law, and I really encourage you to be honest with me. The only exceptions to that is if you tell me that you have a plan to hurt yourself, hurt another person, or you inform me that a child, disabled person, or a vulnerable adult, which means an adult who is not capable of making their own decisions responsibly, is in danger. Because in those cases there is danger present, and that can be physical danger. It can also be emotional abuse or neglect or exploitation, like financial exploitation. If any of those things are present, I am required to report that. But anything about your past experiences or what brought you here or anything like that, that does stay between us. So I really encourage you to be honest with me because that's the only way that we can work to get you the services that you need. And that is my job here, is to be an advocate for you and to help your re-entry plan. Is there anything that you have questions about as far as that confidentiality goes?
Are we being recorded?
No.
Okay.
That is a fair question in this place, I totally understand. But no, my office is a safe place, and like I said, it stays between us, and it cannot be used against you. And not only is it not in a legally binding sense, but I'm not going to talk to any of the corrections officers. I'm not going to talk to your probation officer. I can't. There are circumstances in which I am required to submit a report to the court about your reentry plan or about your progress here at the facility, or if, for instance, you are offered a deal. Sometimes they'll let you out, a little bit early for good behavior or something. They might ask if I feel like you're ready for that. But if I do need to do one of those reports, it will be only based on what your reentry plan is. It won't have to do with anything that you tell me about your current or past situations. That still stays between us. So absolutely, and you would be notified beforehand if I was required to doing that report, both what the content of the report is and the reason that they're asking me for such a report. And that doesn't always happen. Sometimes they don't mean like if everything's kind of going according to the schedule. That's more, and then if there's some sort of special circumstance.
Okay.
Okay.
So I've never been in this situation before, so.
I did read through your file. It said that this is your first incarceration. Is that correct? And would you mind telling me a little bit about what the circumstances that led up to your arrest?
I was caught by a trooper on the highway. I was speeding. He didn't believe me when he asked me if I had taken anything, and he made me get out of my car, and he searched my car. And he found a pack that I had, and I was selling some heroin for a friend to make some money. So I don't know how I'm gonna take care of my baby. So he got me on my intent to sell, as he called it.
Okay. It says here that you were sentenced for 6 months, and that you're just finishing out your 4th month, so you'll be released in 2. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And where were you staying before?
I was staying with my sister and her boyfriend. They let me kind of crash on their couch. They're not home a lot, so I had some privacy.
And you said that you were selling for a friend to make some cash. Was that your only source of income?
Yeah.
Before incarceration?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got fired from my job.
And what were you doing before you got fired?
I was working at Subway.
Okay. You know what,
This is
there,
so fun.
there is no reason to be embarrassed about working at Subway, that's totally honest.
But I knew I couldn't deal with baby.
That is a concern. It, if we're gonna, I don't want you to focus on your challenges, for my next question. If you could do anything you wanted, what would be your plans for your child?
For my child, I don't know. I already had a baby that I gave up because I can't. I don't know how to raise kids. I wasn't raised in a very good home, so I thought that maybe he'd be better off with somebody else. And I want to do right by this one. I'd like to be able to raise her.
So it sounds like you decided to relinquish custody of your son to his father because you didn't feel equipped to parent the child yourself, but that you would like the opportunity to do that with this child.
Yeah, we both thought that was best. He had a job offer in another state, or down in California. He basically told me that was my option. Because I didn't have any skills and didn't know how to raise him, and I guess he was right.
I'm glad that your child was able to be in a safe environment. I'm sorry that it sounds like that was a hard experience for you. So you mentioned that you were staying with your sister before the arrest. Is your plan to go back to your sister's after you're released?
I don't know. I got the feeling that her boyfriend judged me. So
If you had another option, would that be preferable to staying at your sister's place?
if I had yeah. I guess if there are no other options, she's made it known that I can stay there. But
Well, my job is to help you have as much support as we can provide, both your natural supports like your sister, and supports within the community. There's a lot of programs that can help you kind of gain some of those parenting skills that you felt that you were lacking when you were pregnant with your first child. And it can be really basic things from, just how to manage nutrition with an infant, to really more complex, like developments, information, depending on what your biggest concerns are. There's also lots of programs, depending on what kind of parenting style that you visualize is going to be right for your family. Both childcare options so that you can go back to work, and some programs that will help you find employment, even though you have the record, as I'm sure you know, it can be more difficult with once you're in the system. But there are still places that will take you. However, that's not your only option, because like you said, you knew that you felt that you wouldn't be able to work at Subway and care for your child.
I still don't.
Yeah.
I just $8 an hour, and you can't buy formula for twice that much.
Child rearing is expensive for sure.
I don't understand how people are able to do it.
Well, there are a lot of subsidies. Like I said, you aren't necessarily required to also work, especially while your child's an infant. There are some programs we can set you up with to help you meet the expense of your child. There's also vouchers for diapers and formula and things like that, if that's the way you want to go. I would like, because in this first meeting, I really wanted to just kind of find out what your goals were for you and your child, before I gave you a bunch of options that you really weren't interested in. Since it sounds like you really are committed to parenting this child in a positive environment, which is great.
I want us to have our own space. I don't think that we
Well, and that's honestly not gonna be probably the best place for an infant to be in someone's living room, right? And it's great, it shows a lot about what kind of mom you're gonna be, that you recognize that. So that's part of what our reentry plan will be, is to make sure that you have a safe place to go, that is gonna be conducive to